Hello everybody, this is Refresh and I'm here to bring you a battle between the Magic Origins Clash Pack and the Face the Hydra challenge deck from Theros. We'll be playing two games, first on normal difficulty with 3 Hydra heads and then on hard mode. And for these games we'll be using 2 hero cards. The first one is the Harvester. It says tap, draw a card, then discard a card. And then we have the Warrior, which says tap, target creature you control gains haste until end of turn. Because we only have one copy of each of these cards, we'll be applying them to both decks simultaneously. On the left we have Armed, and on the right we have Dangerous. We'll go ahead and draw our opening hands. Armed draws a Valoran Wardens, Topin Freeblade, Plains, Blossoming Sands, Citadel Castellan, Forest, and Forest. I think this is an acceptable first hand, so we will keep it. Dangerous draws a Dramoka's Gift, Forest, Swamp, Map the Waste, Elite Skilgars, Lightwalker, and Citadel Siege. I don't think we can keep this hand because we are short 1 land to get to Map the Wastes, and we can't really do much with it, so we're going to mulligan, and because this is multiplayer, we'll get 1 free mulligan. Now we have a Forest, Citadel Siege, Forest, Plains, Longshot Squad, Lightwalker, and Plains. This is a much more keepable hand. Still not great, but we will keep it. And then, because this is multiplayer, we'll draw for the first turn. Armed draws an Honored Hierarch, and Dangerous draws a Suspension Field. Go ahead and get started with Armed playing a Forest. We'll tap the Forest and cast Honored Hierarch. This is a 1/1 human druid with Renown 1, as long as it is renowned. It has Vigilance, and tapped add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Dangerous will play a Plains, and then we are going to tap the Warrior to give the Honored Hierarch haste. We're going to swing, dealing 1 damage to the Hydra head. This is mostly so that we can get Renowned on our Hierarch, making it a 2/2 that can tap for mana. Unfortunately, we don't have enough mana to do anything else this turn, so we will pass to the Hydra. The Hydra will cast the topmost card, which is a Torn Between Heads. Tap up to 2 heads. They don't untap during the Hydra's next untap step. Torn Between Heads deals 5 damage to each player. Tap these 2 heads, and then we'll take 5 plus 1 more damage each to go down to 14. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Armed draws a Mighty Leap, and we'll discard the Mighty Leap. Dangerous draws an Ultimate Price, and we will discard the Ultimate Price. We'll untap. Armed draws a Plains. Dangerous draws a Tuskguard Captain. Armed will play the Plains. Dangerous will play a Forest. We'll tap the Plains and the Forest to cast the Lightwalker. This is a 2/1 human warrior, and it has flying as long as it has +1/+1 counter on it. We will tap all 3 of these to cast the Citadel Castellan. This is a 2/3 human knight with Vigilance and Renowned 2. We're going to tap the Warrior to give our 2 new creatures haste, and we will attack the untapped Hydra head for 4. This will defeat the Hydra head. It is a 0/3 head, and when it leaves the battlefield, each player gains 2 life. We'll reveal 2 cards to see if there are any new heads. There are no new heads. We'll gain 2 life apiece to go back up to 16 each. And then we will get Renowned for the Castellan. I believe that's all we can do for now, and so we'll go back to the Hydra. The Hydra cannot untap these 2 heads. We'll cast the topmost card, which is the Unified Lunge, deals X damage to each player, where X is the number of heads on the battlefield. So that is 2 damage to each player, bringing us back down to 14 each. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Armed draws a War Oracle, and we will discard the Blossoming Sands. Dangerous draws an Avatar of the Resolute, which is pretty cool. We'll discard the Suspension Field. We'll untap. Armed draws an Enshrouding Mist. Dangerous draws a Scoured Barrens. Armed will play a Plains. Dangerous will play a Forest. We'll tap out for Armed and cast the War Oracle. This is a 3/3 human cleric with lifelink and Renown 1. We'll tap out over here and cast the Tuskguard Captain. This is a 2/3 human warrior with Outlast green, and each creature control with a +1/+1 counter on it has Trample. We'll go ahead and tap the Warrior to give the War Oracle and the Tuskguard Captain haste. We'll go to combat, and we'll swing the War Oracle and the Citadel Castellan into the 2 Hydra heads. The Hydra heads die. We'll gain 4 life apiece to go to 18 each. We'll reveal 4 cards to see if there are any new heads. We have one regular Hydra head, a Ravenous Brute head, which is a 0/6 elite head, and when it leaves the battlefield, each player gains 2 life and draws a card. As well as a Savage Vigor head, which is a 0/8 elite head. At the beginning of the Hydra's end step, reveal the top card of the Hydra's library. The Hydra casts that card, and when it leaves the battlefield, each player gains 4 life and draws a card. We should also be giving the War Oracle a Renowned counter, and we'll gain another 3 life to go up to 21 for Armed. And then we will go to the Hydra's turn. The Hydra will cast the topmost card. This is a Nectangle. If there are 5 or more heads on the battlefield, tap 2 of them. They don't untap during the Hydra's next untap step. Otherwise, reveal the top card of the Hydra's library, and the Hydra casts a card. We'll draw the next card and cast that. This is Hydra's Impenetrable Hide. Each head gains indestructible until the end of the Hydra's next turn. And then we'll cast another one off the Savage Vigor head. This is another Nectangle, so we'll cast another card, which is a Torn Between Heads. We'll tap up to 2 heads, and they don't untap. We'll tap these 2. We'll take 5 damage apiece, plus a damage from the Hydra head to take 6 damage each. This will take Armed down to 15, and Dangerous will go down to 12. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Armed draws a Plains, and we will discard the Enshrouding Mist. Dangerous draws a Lightwalker, and we will discard the Lightwalker. We'll untap. Armed draws an Epic Confrontation, and Dangerous draws a Plains. We are going to play a Forest over here. We'll play the Plains over here. Even though the Hydra is indestructible, we'll still swing with the War Oracle into the Hydra head to gain 4 life to bring us back up to 19. And then we'll tap out for Armed, casting a Topin Freeblade. This is a 2/2 Human Soldier with Vigilance and Renown 1, as well as a Valorant Wardens, which is a 1/3 Human Monk with a Renown 2, and whenever a creature you control becomes Renowned, draw a card. I think the sequencing could have been better, because I should have cast this first and then used the Warrior to get some Renowned and draw cards, but that's okay. Over here, we'll tap 4 mana and cast the Citadel Siege. This is an enchantment. As it enters the battlefield, choose Khans or Dragons. For Khans, at the beginning of combat on your turn, put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature control. For Dragons, at the beginning of combat, each opponent's turn, tap target creature that player controls. We'll actually retroactively use the Warrior and go back on combat because it doesn't really change anything, and we'll attack with the Topin Freeblade, and we will give 2 counters to the Lightwalker. This will make the Topin Freeblade Renowned, and that will also draw us a card over here, giving us an Evolving Wilds. And then we'll stop right here, and we will go to the Hydra's turn. The Hydra's effect no longer applies. These 2 don't untap. We'll cast the topmost card, which is a Unified Lunge. We'll be taking 3 damage plus an additional 1 damage. But we'll take the 3 right now to go to 16 and 9. And then we'll cast another card off the Savage Vigor head, which is a Distract the Hydra. Each player may sacrifice a creature. Each player who sacrificed a creature this way chooses a head and taps it. Each player who didn't sacrifice a creature this way loses 3 life. We'll go ahead and lose the life because I think we have this one in a pretty good spot here. And so we'll take 4 each to go to 12 and 5. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Armed draws a Forest, and we'll discard the Evolving Wilds. Dangerous draws a Swamp, and we'll discard the Scoured Barrens. We'll untap. Armed draws a Feat of Resistance. Dangerous draws an Einok Bionkin. Armed will play the Plains. Dangerous will play the Swamp. Dangerous will tap 2 and cast the Einok Bondkin. This is a 2/1 Hound Soldier with Outlast, 1 white, and each creature you control with +1/+1 counter has First Strike. We'll also switch the Swamp for the Forest here. We'll go to combat, and we'll swing the Waracle and the Castellan into the Savage Figurehead. We'll swing the Topin Freeblade into the Hydra head. We'll swing the Valorant Wardens, the Lightwalker, and the Hierarch into the Brute head. This should defeat everything. We'll reveal 6 cards to see if there are any new heads. There's 1 Ravenous Brute head. We'll gain 8 life and draw 2 cards each, taking us up to 20 and 13. Armed draws a Outland Colossus and a Pacifism. We'll also give renowned status to the Valorant Wardens. This will draw us another card, giving us an Evolving Wilds. Dangerous will draw a Abzan Ascendancy and a Abzan Falconer. And we should have given counters, and so we'll put a couple counters on the Tuskguard Captain. We'll tap 3 more mana over here and cast the Falconer. This is a 2/3 human soldier with Outlast, white, and each creature you control with +1/+1 counter has flying. Armed will tap out, and we'll cast the Outland Colossus. This is a 6/6 giant with a renowned 6, and it can't be blocked by more than 1 creature. And then we'll pass to the Hydra. The Hydra will cast the topmost card, which is Swallow the Hero Whole. Each player exiles a creature he or she controls until the Hydra's next turn. When a Hydra leaves the battlefield, return the exiled cards to the battlefield under their owner's control. We will exile a Top and Refute Blade over here. We'll exile the Ionok Bondkin over here. We'll take 2 damage from the Brute head to go down to 18 and 11. Oh, and we should have gained an actual 4 additional life here. So we're actually going to go up to 22 for Armed, and then down to 11 for Dangerous. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Armed draws an Undercity Troll, we'll discard the Pacifism. Dangerous draws a Forest, and we will discard the Plains. 1 tap. Armed draws a Forest. Dangerous draws a Map the Wastes. Dangerous will play the Forest. Armed will play the Forest. We only have 1 thing to hit right now, and so we are going to go to combat. We'll put a couple counters on the Abzan Falconer. We will swing with the Outland Colossus into the Brute Head. So defeat the Brute Head. We'll reveal 2 cards to see if there are any new heads. There are no new heads, and so we don't have to resolve anything else because the Clash Pack has defeated the Hydra, and we will be right back for Hard Mode. It's time for Hard Mode. We have 4 Hydra heads assembled here, and we'll draw our opening hands. Arm draws a Forest, Plains, Citadel Castellon, Windswept Heath, Enshrouding Mist, and Valorant Wardens. It's not ideal, but I think we can keep it. Dangerous draws a Cash Defenses, Abzan Ascendancy, Abzan Falconer, Sandstep Citadel, Elite Scale Guard Forest, and Scale Blessing. This is also a bit of a slow hand and a little short on lands, but I think we're going to keep it anyways. We'll draw our opening card. Arm draws a Forest, and Dangerous draws a Scoured Barrens. Armed will play a Plains, and Dangerous will play the Sandstep Citadel. This is a land. It enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap for white, black, or green. Then we will pass to the Hydra. The Hydra will cast the topmost card, which is a Hydra head. We'll take 5 damage from the heads to go down to 15 each. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Arm draws a Forest, and we'll discard the Windswept Heath. Dangerous draws a Debilitating Injury. We'll discard the Debilitating Injury. 1 tap. Arm draws a Dromoka's Command. Dangerous draws a Citadel Siege. Armed will play a Forest. Dangerous will play a Scoured Barrens. This is a land. It enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life. You can tap for white or black. We'll gain 1 life to go up to 16. We still can't cast anything, so we will pass to the Hydra. The Hydra will cast the topmost card, which is Swallow the Hero Whole. This does nothing since there are no creatures to exile. We'll take another 5 each to go to 10 and 11. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Armed draws a Titanic Growth. We'll discard the Titanic Growth. Dangerous will draw a Plains, and we will discard the Cash Defenses. We'll untap. Armed draws a Plains, and Dangerous draws a Disowned Ancestor. Dangerous will play the Plains. Armed will play a Forest. Armed will tap out, and we'll cast a Valorant Wardens. Dangerous will tap out, and we'll cast an Abzan Falconer. We will tap the Warrior to give each of these haste, and we will attack a single Hydra head. They'll defeat the Hydra head. We'll reveal 2 cards to see if there are any new heads. We'll gain Renowned for the Valorant Wardens, and because it gained Renown, we'll draw a card. That gets us an unknown tier of champions. We'll gain 2 life apiece to go to 12 and 13. And then we are out of things to do. We'll pass the turn to the Hydra. The Hydra will cast the topmost card, which is Grown from the Stump. Put exactly 2 cards named Hydra Head onto the battlefield from the Hydra's graveyard. If you can't reveal cards from the top of the Hydra's library until you reveal a head card, put that card onto the battlefield and the rest into the Hydra's graveyard. Alright, we'll take 5 damage apiece to go to 7 and 8. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Armed draws a Outland Colossus and discards the Enshrouding Mist. Dangerous draws a Dramoka's Gift and discards the Disowned Ancestor. We'll untap. Armed draws a Plains. Dangerous draws a Plains. Dangerous will play the Forest. Armed will play the Plains. Armed will play 3 mana and cast the Citadel Castellan. Dangerous will tap all their mana and cast the Citadel Siege. We'll tap the Warrior to give the Castellan haste and we'll go to combat. The Citadel Siege will put 2 counters on the Falconer and we will swing with the Wardens into one of the heads, the Falconer into another head, and the Castellan into another head. This will defeat 2 heads. We'll review 4 cards to see if there are any new heads. There are no new heads. We'll gain 4 life apiece to go up to 11 and 12. The Castellan gets their counters, and then we will draw a card. Armed draws a Top and Free Blade. Armed will tap 1 mana and cast the Anointer of Champions. This is a 1/1 human cleric, and you can tap it to give target attacking creature +1/+1 until end of turn. Then we are tapped out, so we will go to the Hydra's turn. The Hydra will cast the topmost card, which is Torn Between Heads. We'll tap these 2 heads. We'll take 6 damage each to go to 5 and 6. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Armed draws a Dragon Hunter, and we will discard a Plains. Dangerous draws a Swamp, and we will discard a Plains. We'll untap. Armed draws an Enshrouding Mist, and Dangerous draws a Blossoming Sands. Dangerous will play a Swamp. Armed will play a Forest. Armed will tap out and cast the Outland Colossus. Dangerous will tap out and cast the Elite Scaleguard. This is a 2/3 human soldier. When it enters the battlefield, bolster 2. Whenever creature you control with a +1/+1 counter attacks, tap target creature the defending player controls. The bolster will go onto itself. We'll tap to give our new creatures haste. We'll swing with the Outland Colossus into one of the heads, as well as the Citadel Castellan into another head, and we'll put the Elite Scaleguard into a head. That will tap this one. This should defeat all 3 heads. We'll reveal 6 cards to see if there are any new heads. We'll gain 6 life to go up to 11 and 12. The Colossus will gain 6 +1/+1 counters and will draw a card off the Wardens, getting us a Consul Lieutenant. And since we are tapped out, we'll go to the Hydra's turn. The Hydra will cast the topmost card, which is Groan from the Stump. We'll take 4 damage apiece to go down to 7 and 8. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Armed draws a Plains, and we'll discard the Enshrouding Mist. Dangerous will draw a Lightwalker, and we will discard the Dramoka's Gift. We'll untap. Armed draws a Plains. Dangerous draws a Map the Wastes. Armed will play a Plains. Dangerous will play a Blossoming Sands. It's a land. It enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life. You can tap it for green or white. Dangerous will get a life to go up to 9. Dangerous will tap a Forest and a Plains and cast the Lightwalker. Armed will tap a Forest and a Plains to cast a Top and Free Blade. We'll also tap 2 more Plains to cast the Consul's Lieutenant. This is a 2/1 human soldier with first strike, renowned 1, and whenever it attacks, if it's renowned, each other attacking creature you control gets +1/+1 until end of turn. We'll tap the Warrior to give the Lieutenant and the Lightwalker haste. We'll go to combat. We'll put a couple counters on the Lightwalker from the Siege, and we will swing into the Hydra head with the Consul's Lieutenant, the Castellan, the Lightwalker, and the Falconer. We'll use the Anointer of Champions to give the Lieutenant a +1/+1. That should defeat all 4 of the heads. We'll reveal 8 cards to see if there are any new heads. We have a Shrieking Titan head. This is a 0/8 elite head at the beginning of the Hydra's end step. Each player discards a card. When it leaves the battlefield, each player gains 4 life and draws a card. The Lieutenant gets Renowned. That'll draw us a card. Armed gets a Mighty Leap. The Freeblade gets Renowned. That'll draw us a card, getting us a Forest. Dangerous will tap out and cast Abzan Ascendancy. This is an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, put a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying onto the battlefield. We'll add 1 counter to each of these. And then we will pass the turn to the Hydra. The Hydra will cast the topmost card, which is Strike the Weak Spot, destroy target head. If that head was elite, that Hydra takes an extra turn after this one. Go ahead and destroy the Shrieking Titan head. We should have gained 8 life last turn to go up to 15 and 17. And then we'll gain 4 more life to go up to 19 and 21. We'll reveal 2 cards to see if there are any new heads. And then we'll take 1 damage from the remaining head to go to 18 and 20. Then we'll go to the Hydra's second turn. The Hydra will cast a topmost card, which is a Ravenous Brute head. We'll take 3 damage from those heads to go down to 15 and 17. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Armed draws a Plains. We'll discard the Plains. Dangerous draws an Einok Bondkind. We'll discard the Scale Blessing. We'll untap. Armed draws an Epic Confrontation. Dangerous will draw a Swamp. Dangerous plays the Swamp. Armed will play a Plains. This should be pretty simple. We'll attack the Freeblade into one of the Hydra heads. And as we go to combat, we'll put a couple more counters on the Lightwalker and swing the Lightwalker into the Brute head. That'll defeat both of these. Reveal 4 cards to see if there are any new heads. And then the Magic Origins Clash Pack, defeat the Hydra in straight sets. That wasn't too bad. Let me know what you thought about the games in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you'd like to see more of my videos, you can hit subscribe. This was Refresh. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.